So you got to be careful that you don't put things out there that you don't know what you're putting out there. Be careful that you don't agree with what somebody posts unless you do your homework to make sure that you agree with it. Because it will come back around on you, and the only thing you could have been doing all good things, and you just that one bad choice, that one bad post can change your life. If you want to achieve anything in your life, it is determined by what you have done lately. No one is going to give you anything or do anything for you if you have not been doing anything lately. Think about that. You go somewhere, you know, the job, well, what did you work at the last 2 or 3 years? What happened on this? So it's always what happens lately, and ain't nobody going to give you nothing. And they shouldn't if they can, if you haven't done anything lately. Now, we're coming up on an election here. November the 8th is the election for a lot of Senate races and Congress races that is going on throughout our country. You know, it was a time that the only race, the election I ever thought about was the president's election. But I have came to understand that the president is just limited to his powers. It's who we put in Congress and who we put in Senate that determine how things are going to go. So we're on this time, so all the politicians that are running for office are starting to tell you things, all the things that they're going to do if you elect them into office. They say things like, if you vote for me, I will do this. I will change that. I will make the school systems better. I will make your neighborhoods safer. I will create more jobs. All of these things sound good. But I'm not concerned about, or we shouldn't be concerned about, the things that these politicians say they're going to do. We should want to know, what have they done for you lately? Go back and look at it. You know, stop being as we are, just everybody's a Democrat. And if you are, that's fine. If you're Republican, that's fine, whatever it is. But take time out to find out, whoever you find a little bit about, who you put in office and what they have done lately or what they've been standing for. I heard Reverend Al Sharpton say this morning, don't go out and just vote Democrat or Republican or whatever. Vote for yourself. Vote for somebody who has some of the same issues and concerns that you have. You know, take time out to do your homework, because they'll tell you all these things, and if you go back, all you got to do is go back and ask them, well, what have you done for me lately? All right, married couples. Some have been married 5, 10, 20 years. But the last 2 years, everything been going bad. I ain't got no married couples in here. I think I'm just, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I ought to say all this. Ain't no other married couples in here. I hope it's some married couples watching. But I ain't talking about, I'm just saying what I'm saying. But the last 2 years, everything has been going bad. You don't talk to each other anymore because you don't like talking to each other. You don't go anywhere with each other anymore, because if you do, that means that you're going to have to talk to each other. I ain't going, because if I go, we're going to have to talk. And I don't like talking to you. I'm just saying in general, not talking about my wife. You even had to sleep in separate rooms because you can't stand to hear each other snore. Well, as painful as it might be, you need to sit down and talk to each other and ask each other, what have you done for me lately? Thank you for finishing that. And you will find out that neither one of you had done anything lately to try to save the marriage. So, what you need to do if there's anybody out there. What we need to do, or what you need to do, is to start doing what you did when you like what you did with each other. Say that again. Start doing what you did when you like what you did for each other. Break it down. The same thing it took for you two to hook up. It's going to take the same thing to keep you hooked up. You might have to go back and revisit that. You know, maybe you used to go to the movies. Maybe you need to start going back to the movies. You know, maybe you used to have a time where you guys just sit down and talk. Maybe you need to bring that back in there. Because if you're going to keep somebody, or marriage, or any relationship going, don't remember what it took to get that relationship started. And then so they won't have to go back and say, what have you done for me lately? And you have to go back and undo some of the things that you've been doing lately so you can start having some fun. Then you won't be asking each other, I'm talking about marriage couples or people together, what have you done for me lately? You were still talking to each other about what you're going to do next, instead of going on what has happened lately. I have a couple of Bible verses here that I want to read. Let all, in Ephesians 4:31 and 32. Ephesians 4:31 and 32 says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. God is asking you, what have you done for me lately? Another Bible verse is Matthew, the 7th chapter and the 21st verse. Matthew 7th chapter, 21st verse says, not everyone that says unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. God is asking you, or asking us, what have you done for me lately? Another verse, 1 John 2 and 4. 1 John 2 and 4. He that says, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Now, go to that verse, and you'll see the same thing that I'm reading. You'll see it saying that. But what I'm saying is right there. We say that again. John 2 and 4 says, he that says, I know him, and keep not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. God is asking you, what have you done for me lately? Amen. We're going to look at our text now. And Jesus is telling these followers in this chapter, he's actually talking about Judgment Day. What's going to happen during Judgment Day? You know, he starts off in the earlier chapters, 23, 24, and 25. In there, he's telling them what the kingdom of heaven is like. Because, you know, they saying, okay, you came from heaven. Tell us what heaven is like. And Jesus began to tell them about what heaven is like. But in this particular chapter, he's telling them what it's going to be like during Judgment Day. And it starts off, he says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. He also is telling them about the last days. He said, now the last day is when the Son of Man, he's going to come back. And when he comes back this time, he's going to come in his full glory. You're going to see him as the God that he is. And not only this, the first time he came by himself, even though the stars shined where he was at and all that stuff happened. This time he's coming back with a host of angels. He's coming back, and he's coming back with them, and then he shall sit on his throne. He's talking about himself. 32 says, before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. when he comes back and he's sitting on his judgment seat. Before him going to be all nations of people. All kind of, because he's getting ready to pass judgment on them. And he's going to separate them, as he said, as the sheep from the goats. Now, the sheep he's going to put on his right-hand side. And I got something written down here about sheep. A sheep is someone that's a follower. A sheep is innocent, mild, patient, useful, blameless, gentle, kind, calm, affectionate, tender, devoted, caring, adoring, warm, loving people on his right-hand side. Now, hopefully you found yourself in there, because he's going to do the separating. That's why we can't sit up here and say who's going to hell and who's going to heaven, because we don't know. You know, you sitting around trying to tell people, well, you might be the one going the opposite way. You might be a goat dressed up in sheep clothing. But you ain't going to be able to fool God, because he knows the sheep are from the goat. And then he says 34, then the king. Now, I highlighted that because he said, then the king. Now, he first said, when the Son of Man. But when he gets into his glory, he said, now, the king. Because he is King Jesus. It says here, the king shall say unto them on his right hand, come, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundations of the world. Come on in. This was prepared for you because of the things that you have done. He began to tell them, he said, when I was hungry, you gave me meat. And I got to looking about that, because when he said that I was hungry, you gave me meat. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, you took me in. Naked, you clothed me. Sick, you came unto me. And when I was in prison, you came unto me. Sick, you visited me, came unto me. There were 6 things that he said that he was done. So just a few minutes I want to say first about, because they're like, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry, sick, thirsty, naked, in prison, or as a stranger? And he said, you did see me, because if you seen any of my brethrens like that, or people like that, you should have came to them. If we seen somebody that was hungry, what we should offer them is Jesus Christ, because Jesus is the bread from heaven. We seen somebody that was thirsty, we should be offering them Jesus Christ, because Jesus is the living water. He is the water from heaven. We seen somebody that was a stranger. We should offer them to Jesus Christ, because Jesus said, come unto me all ye that are labored and who are strangers, come unto me. Jesus will comfort them and be with them in the time of their need. If we see somebody that was naked, we ought to tell them to come unto Jesus, because Jesus will cover them with his blood, and no longer will they be naked. We've seen somebody that might have been sick. Give them Jesus, because Jesus is a healer. Or as the old one says, he's a doctor that has never lost a patient. We see someone that was in prison. Give them Jesus, because Jesus will break every chain that's got them in prison. He will knock down any walls that got behind. Come unto Jesus. That's what we ought to be giving people. In other words, when he's telling us this, he's telling us you should be giving them Jesus. Giving them Jesus. You should do that. And then he goes on to say, that's what my sheep did. Y'all went out and you told people about me. And they told people about me. And they told people about me. Right. So when I asked what you done for me lately, you went out and you witnessed for Jesus Christ. Then he goes on to talk about the goats, which is the ones on his left-hand side. Now, a goat is nasty, unpleasant, disagreeable, offensive, obnoxious, horrible, distasteful, unacceptable, unruly, wild, disorderly, rowdy, boisterous, disobedient, uncontrollable, unmanageable, disrupted, hateful people on his left side. You know, if you all that, ain't no even sense in you. I don't even want to go to judgment seat. Just tell me where I need to go. You know, I don't even have to go there. But some of them, and some of us, have got some of these same qualities and think we're going to sit up there and when we get to heaven, we're going to put on our golden shoes. Going to get our long white robe. And we're going to have a mansion for ourselves. No. He's saying these are the goats. The next thing he said, he is the one that's going to do the separation. So we let him separate those who was coming. Then he said the same thing to the goats. Hey, when I was hungry, you didn't give me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, you didn't give me no water. Stranger, you didn't take me in and comfort me. Naked, you didn't clothe me. Sick, you didn't come and visit me. And in prison, you didn't come unto me. He's going to say all of them. This is why. Because instead of coming to the hungry, giving to the hungry, these goats was taken from the hungry. Instead of giving water to the thirsty, they was keeping the water for themselves. They wasn't giving Jesus to them. Instead of taking a stranger in, they was finding more ways to put a stranger out. Instead of clothing somebody when they was naked, if they gave them something, they gave them something that didn't fit no way. They didn't give them anything. Instead of, if they were sick, didn't come by and try to see about them or heal them. In prison, they didn't care if they was in prison or not. But now here it is on Judgment Day. And now you're being judged. And once you find out all the things you do, this is what Jesus is asking these goats and these sheep. What have you done for me lately? And if he should ask you that question, will you be able to answer it? What have you done for Jesus lately? Now, it's easy, well, we want him to do for us. No, but what have you done for him lately? What you going to say when Jesus asks you, what have you done for me lately? If you say, Lord, I was trying to get myself right so I can do what you wanted me to do. He's going to say, depart from me. I never knew you. You should have came and asked me, and I would have helped you get yourself right. What you going to say when Jesus asks you, what have you done for me lately? If you say, Lord, I've been working 2 jobs, Saturdays and Sundays, and Sunday is the only day I get to rest. He's going to say to you, depart from me. I never knew you. You should have came and asked me, and I would have gave you rest. What you going to say to Jesus when he asks you, what have you done for me lately? If you say, Lord, I've been working, if you say, Lord, I got a lot of problems and issues going on in my life, and I just can't deal with anything else right now. He's going to say to you, depart from me. I never knew you. You should have came and asked me, and I'll solve your problems for you. What you going to say to Jesus when Jesus asks you, what have you done for me lately? If you say, Lord, every time I start doing something for you, people start talking about me. They start lying on me. They start making fun of me. He's going to say to you, depart from me. I never knew you. You should have came and asked me, and I would have told you that they did the same things to me. What have you done for me lately? We find all kinds of excuses to not to do anything that Jesus wants us to do. He ain't asking us to build great cathedrals and to build this. He's just asking us to worship and to praise him. He's asking us to love God with all our heart and soul and love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Not asking something that's not too hard for us to do. Now, I said, now, you need to flip it over and turn the question around and ask Jesus, what have he done for you lately? All right? He done asked you what you done for you. Now ask him what he has done for you lately. Jesus will start off by saying, well, last night, I hope that is lately enough for you. When you were sleeping, I was the one that watched over you. This morning, if you thought you got up on your own. You didn't get up on your own. If you don't want to know what I've done for you lately, I was the one that woke you up. When you got up, you been and looked in the mirror and you recognized who you was. It wasn't you. It was I who clothed you in your right mind. Keep on asking him, what have you done for me lately? And he'll say, do you remember last week when you was at a red light and the red light turned green, but you had dropped something, so you looked down to get it before you took off. And when you looked down to get it, another car ran the red light. I done that for you. Do you remember the time that you went out and you got detoured a couple of weeks ago to go another route? You was mad because you wanted to go the same route. But I detoured you. And then you found out later on that the reason why you were detoured because there was a big accident. And a lot of people died on the interstate. That's what I've done for you lately. Keep on asking him, what have you done for me lately? So let me take you back just a little bit farther. Some has got to go farther than others. So if you go back over 2,000 years ago, I want to let you know what I've done for you. Over 2,000 years ago, before you was even thought of in the womb, I died for your sins. I came to the world so that you could have life and have it more abundantly. You still want to know what Jesus has done for you lately. Well, if you got your sight, if you got your hearing, if you're able to walk, if you're able to talk, if you got health and strength, that's what he done for you lately. He'll say now, came into this world. The world hadn't done anything for me, but I came into the world to do something for the world. I gave my life for the world. If you go back, look 2,000 and something years ago, you'll find out where they took me. This is Jesus talking. Took me and laid me on that old rugged cross. They nailed nails in my hand and nails in my feet. That's what I was doing for you. Because it should have been you that was laid on that cross. It should have been nails in your hands and nails in your feet. Not only that, they took and put a crown of thorns on my head because they said I was doing it for you. And that is exactly right. I did it for you. Then I let them rise me up on that old rugged cross. And I said that if I be lifted up from the earth, I'm going to draw all men unto me. So when you ask me, what have I done for you lately? I died on that cross for you. I sacrificed my life for you. I stayed there for you. I took all the being talked about and said that you saved others. Why don't you save yourself? I even was hung up between two thieves for you. But the thief on the right-hand side, he didn't ask me, what have I done for him lately? He asked me, what could I do for him right now? When he asked me to remember me when I get into my kingdom. And I told the thief that the day you will be with me in paradise. I stayed on that cross. Jesus did for us. If you want to know something that he has done for you lately. Stayed on that cross from the 6th to the 9th hour. Went down into the depths of hell. Stayed there. And on the 3rd day, he rose up with all power in heaven and earth in his hand. And he is sitting on the right hand of God, making intercessions for you and I. Still doing stuff for us. Still doing stuff for us. A lot of times, it is Jesus who steps in and makes things better for you. If you want that job that you haven't been able to get, go talk to Jesus. He will do it. And you know what? Lately is never too late for him because you can call him in the morning, call him in the noonday, and call him late at night. But the Bible says that now when he comes back, here he comes, him in all his glory, him with all his majesty, coming with angels, coming back. And he's coming back for you and for I. So you better make sure that you have done something lately for him. Don't stop riding on your grandmother's religion. I used to go to church with my grandmother. I used to go to church with my mother. That's used to. What have you done lately? What are you doing now? Grandmother went, but grandmother went whether you was going with her or without her. You should have learned from grandma that it's only what you do for Christ will last. So we need to get ourselves right and get ourselves together. If you want to ask Jesus, what have you done for me? Lady, go ahead and ask him. And you'll be like Job. You'll put your hand over your mouth. I'm sorry I asked you. But when he asks you, what have you done for him lately? If you ain't done that, when was the last time you called on him in prayer? See, it's not all the big things that matter. It's the little things that matter. If you want him